Look at a modern military force on paper, and the numbers are staggering. Billions of dollars spent on heavy armor and precision engineering, supported by massive logistical chains designed to project power. But put those machines on the ground, and a simple physical ravine can stop a mechanical titan in seconds. For decades, defense strategy has rested on the assumption that massive investment translates directly to strategic victory. This is the logic of capital-scale supremacy, the belief that platforms of the M1 Abrams, weighing 73 tons and costing up to $24 million, can drive through any obstacle. However, billion-dollar hardware routinely hits a wall when it reaches highly localized physical bottlenecks. In conflicts across the globe, the physical distance that determines whether an operation succeeds or collapses frequently measures exactly 4 kilometers. We're about to break down why this specific distance is so lethal. But first, take a moment to subscribe to the global Warwatch network. We analyze the tactical realities and geographical hard truths that determine modern wars. Hit that subscribe button to join our network. Whether you are moving armored brigades through a combat zone or shipping humanitarian aid across a border, physical geography remains the ultimate adversary. High technology can improve efficiency, but it cannot expand the narrow corridors of the Earth. You can see the geography of the bottleneck in eastern Ukraine, along the Seversky Donets-Donbass Canal. This concrete-lined waterway serves as a formidable barrier, designed specifically to block the movement of heavy armored divisions. But near Kalinivka, the water is piped underground and covered with soil, creating a 4-kilometer dry land crossing. Because the surrounding canal is impassable, offensive forces must funnel their multi-ton vehicles through these narrow segments. This concentration allows defenders to negate the tank's armor. Using Orlan 10 drones for surveillance, they can spot incoming columns from miles away and direct anti-tank guided missiles toward the choke point. In this confined space, a 73-ton tank becomes an easy target for low-cost munitions. When heavy armor is forced into a narrow, fortified gap, it loses the maneuverability it needs to survive. The geographic pressure of the crossing effectively strips away the advantage of a massive armored division. Physical bottlenecks also dictate modern maritime power. The Kinburn Spit is a narrow stretch of land in Mykolaiv Oblast that sits only 4 kilometers across the strait from the port of Ochakiv. Despite its small size, controlling this spit allows a force to block all commercial and naval traffic entering the Dnipro River. This geographic gateway defined the Battle of Krinky. Ukrainian forces launched an ambitious amphibious landing to establish a bridgehead on the left bank of the Dnipro, aiming to establish a path toward Crimea. The operation established a foothold, but the advance stalled within a corridor only 4 kilometers deep. Without heavy armor to push forward, the troops were pinned against the riverbank in a narrow strip of land. Within this zone, the air became as dangerous as the ground. FPV drone operators maintain strong video and control links up to a 4-kilometer range. This precise distance created a lethality dome, where any detected movement resulted in a precision strike, stalling the amphibious advance. Naval and amphibious ambitions are frequently neutralized when forces are trapped within a drone-saturated 4-kilometer radius. Superiority in the water is useless if you cannot break out of the riverine bottleneck. These same physical laws apply to civil and humanitarian logistics. Movement control doctrine shows that the physics of a bottleneck remain constant, whether the cargo is ammunition or emergency food supplies. NATO mountain warfare manuals emphasize the danger of channeling. This occurs when the terrain forces a large formation to move in a single file line along a specific path, making the entire column vulnerable to a single point of failure. You can see channeling in action on the Noida Expressway. This multi-lane corridor handles 500,000 vehicles daily, but the system regularly grinds to a halt as 7 different entry points merge into the main flow. To manage the merging traffic, police use barricades that force vehicles into a slow, zigzag pattern. This turns a high-speed highway into a crawling bottleneck that occupies a specific 4-kilometer stretch of the road. This identical dynamic completely paralyzes humanitarian aid. When thousands of tons of supplies reach a border, they must pass through a highly regulated physical gate. On the border between Egypt and the Gaza Strip, a backlog of 540 aid trucks carrying millions of meals was trapped on a 4-kilometer stretch of road. Unpredictable inspections and restricted entry points left the vehicles idle for days. In this scenario, the volume of available resources is irrelevant. Whether it is military supplies or humanitarian relief, the value of the cargo is zero if it cannot pass through the final physical choke point. History shows that this 4-kilometer limit is not new. During the 1916 Battle of Verdun, German forces attempted to break the French line and capture the city's citadel. They reached the village of Fleury, coming within exactly 4 kilometers of their objective. But at this distance, the structural density of the French defensive system was so high that the German offensive momentum was entirely blunted. The 4-kilometer threshold at Verdun mirrors the physical bottlenecks slowing modern armor in Ukraine and aid shipments in Gaza. In these specific environments, the terrain demands such a high concentration of resources and effort that even the largest machines are forced to a standstill. Strategic planners are now looking toward a future that moves away from logistically fragile, heavy platforms. The focus is shifting toward agile, decentralized forces that can navigate these saturated choke points without relying on massive, vulnerable supply lines. Strategic advantage rests with those who can successfully navigate the crossing of these final, critical 4 kilometers. Thank you for watching. If you want to see more tactical breakdowns like this, like the video and share your thoughts in the comments. Don't forget to subscribe for more deep dives into the geography of global conflict. We'll see you in the next one.